Good morning, YouTube brethren. I was looking for some of this information yesterday and couldn't find it. So, considering the fact that I couldn't find it, I figure maybe some of you will be looking for this information. And since I discovered the answers on my own, figured I'd share them and reduce the learning curve a little bit on your guys' side. So the problem I'm having is that the Lepa 240 water cooler for CPU processors. I was originally using it for an AMD, and I had the AMD brackets attached to this, and when I decided to upgrade to Intel, very significant problem. They use different brackets. Typically I keep everything. I'm a pack rat, and for some reason didn't keep these around. I guess I supposed that at the time I had figured I was never going to upgrade to Intel. Lo and behold. Anyway, so problem is, this is a great intercooler. I love using it. I've never had a single problem with it, but now I can't connect it to my new system, which is a pain in the ass because I'm really excited to start playing with my new system. So I'm trying to figure out how I can adapt this for use with a cheaper intercooler that I purchased. That's just one of the 120 or 140 millimeter single style ones. That'll come with like a universal adapter type thing, and I'll plug that to the CPU. And how can I open this up and try to basically create some weird monstrosity? In your case, maybe you just want to add another hose or reservoir to the system or whatever. Basically, I'm just showing you how to get into this thing without breaking it, and potentially how to take off these sealed hoses and whatnot. So the first thing you're going to want to take off is this plastic plate that covers up the rest of the system there. There's a couple tiny little tabs on the edges here. So when you take this off, it'll sound kind of like it's breaking, but it's just snapping off. This is really just a cover plate. And in fact, I don't really actually plan on ever putting this back on, just because personally, more exposed copper to the air, more heat transfer to transient air, whatever. This is just something else to keep heat contained inside of this, which I don't think is necessarily a good thing. So whatever. Also, something I discovered a while back, don't use acetone to clean the top of your copper, the water block off, because acetone will eat your plastic. Yeah, rubbing alcohol. Lessons. Learn as you go. So you pop that off, and underneath there what you'll have are these 4 particularly long screws. They go through the water block to the other side, and because I learned this the wrong way, I can't show you exactly the correct way, but they go through the other side to these 4 plastic posts that would be attached to this. This is the top piece that goes over it, and each of those corners where those plastic posts went. What I ended up doing was basically prying this top off while those 4 fasteners were still there, and it just popped the plastic off. If I did feel like using this cover again, I could probably just use some super glue, glue these back into position and screw right back into them. I'm sure that wouldn't be an issue, but honestly I don't think I'm gonna reuse this. This piece you could or could not use. It's actually not entirely necessary, so if you don't like the red glow of the Lepa intercooler and all you want to do is change the fact that that's there, you could take that off, and I'm sure it's probably just a white LED at that point. So, you know, if you're that kind of person, and if anybody's wondering, the Lepa thing that goes here is just a metal plate that sticks on the top there. Mine, from having been through many heat cycles, was very readily removed from the faceplate there. So yeah, you'll have these long screws, you undo those screws. That's going to be how you get off the top. And lastly, for a method of disconnecting your hoses. So here's your intake and outtake, whichever one is which. Doesn't really matter, they're both in the exact same spaces. These screws here seem to be retaining screws. They're pretty small, so you're going to need even smaller style, like eyeglasses style bit, something more like this one. But yeah, that's perfect. So you'll take a tiny little guy like this one, and sorry, I'm not staying in frame. And you'll just undo those. Presumably, they'll just pull out at that point. Now, another thing. So this Torx bit right there is not necessary for removal. What that actually is going to be your fill. If you're using this as your, like where you're trying to make sure that you've got all the air out, everything, and you're filling from here. You can see in here that it's cast into it. That's another tube that's going to go into where this pump is at. The electronics look really good. Anyway, I hope this helps anybody. Don't always have to destroy things to get the answers that you want. And maybe I'll make another video when I bastardize this and connect it to the other system to create a two-part system between that one and this one. And I'm not sure if I'm just going to leave this running as basically an auxiliary pump for additional flow, or if I'm going to somehow mount this to, I don't know, say my graphics card, or I don't know, anything hot in the system somehow.